Salam alaikum, Hasal her, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. A big thank you, first and foremost, to the organizers of this incredible, extremely content-rich couple of first days, our 24 Fintech. We couldn't be prouder as JP Morgan to be sponsoring this event. My name is Christos Kolimenakis. I'm running the payments business of JP Morgan in Saudi Arabia, very proudly based out of Riyadh. Before that, I was running the fintech practice of JP Morgan Corporate Banking across EMEA. And to be honest, I couldn't be prouder today and prouder to be joined in this fireside chat by Eze Safir, the CEO of D360 Bank. Eze also recently joined Riyadh and is now proudly based out of Riyadh. He brings with him a truly unique and diverse background. Before, he was the CEO of Santander's digital bank. He was a member of the board of Amazon Europe. He was a senior member of Liberty Global, a senior consultant at McKinsey, and a senior strategy and ops manager at Nike. So it's a great pleasure, Eze, to share this chat with you today.
Thank you very much, Christos. I'm very happy to be here today.
The topic of today's discussion is about the Saudi digital banking ecosystem, and personally, I couldn't think of a better way to talk about the subject back to double-click and zoom into one of the emerging digital banks and challengers in this ecosystem, D360. Before we kick it off, maybe a quick question to the audience. How many of you have heard of D360? Please raise your hands.
Yeah.
Okay, so quite a lot.
Very good.
And this explains in a way, as per this morning, the fact that there are at least 700,000 people in front of me in the waiting list for D360. So Eze, maybe we kick it off by you kindly giving us a little bit of background on what is D360, particularly for the folks that are visiting the country.
So thank you, Christos, for the introduction. 6 months in the kingdom. I didn't realize it's already 6 months. It's a place where 6 months is probably like 6 years in any other country in how you see change and evolution. It's amazing. The 360 Bank, it's a Saudi digital bank. It's a Saudi fintech, a Saudi startup with the exceptional backing. We are having amongst our major shareholders PIF and Deraya Financial, Deraya being itself probably one of the most successful startups and fintechs in the kingdom. So that's who we are. We have banking license. We are in what is called the pre-launch phase, meaning we already have a bit more than 100,000 customers, and amongst you, more than 1.1 million wait list. And I'd like to think for those that are already banking with us, that use the card every day, we are already delivering on our promise beyond the obvious that digital banks should do, which is an exceptional UX, very simple to use. You open your account in 2 minutes, etc. And we're delivering beyond that, having I think probably the best and the only card you want to take if you go travel around the world. You go on vacation back to your country using our card, you will get most probably the best exchange rates you can ever get. You'll get very low fees, if any. And the same thing for transferring. It's for most countries in the world, transfers are mostly instantaneous and a very, very low rate. So that's a bit how we are starting to walk our journey to become a leading digital bank. And then, of course, being in the kingdom, we like to think we are an integral part of delivering the vision, both as a digital bank for development of the financial sector, but also as a bank of banks. So as a digital bank, we have an infrastructure that is cloud-based and open, so we can connect others. And we have already connected other fintechs to become a bank of fintechs, right? Giving them access to what is a licensed bank. And we have already one of the largest fintechs doing transfers in the world, Thunes, connected to us, and we're giving them access to the Saudi market.
You mentioned something very interesting, which is the enablement role that you also have, A, in the ecosystem, B, as part of Vision 2030. And I also want to comment very briefly on that, because I've been covering the fintech ecosystem for the last, call it, 10 years or so. And truly, what we see in Saudi Arabia, we haven't seen anywhere in the world, right? Be it in the UK ecosystem, in the continental European ecosystem, in Latin America, in Asia, what is happening here is really unique, both from a macro as well as from a micro standpoint. On the macro side, I've never personally seen this complete, full alignment of stars when it comes to all the relevant stakeholders really been pushing for the delivery of Vision 2030. Sama's role in terms of really pushing for that agenda and enabling the ecosystem, but also on the micro side, really the statistics, right? I mean, you have more than 90% literacy. You have close to 75% plus of fintech literacy, i.e. people having at least one fintech app in their cell phones.
Yeah, yeah.
You have 5G coverage in more than 80% of the population, and you have instant payments, more than 90% of the total payments that are taking place in the kingdom. So it's really unique, and I would love to also get your perspective on what's really happening in the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think for foreigners like us, it's totally unexpected. We knew before coming, I'm sure we knew before coming that this was a high growth, dynamic place, but I never seen anything similar. I think it's unique. For us in particular, within the banking sector, what we see for us, D360, it's very important to understand our role within the vision, and there are some goals that are more obvious. Being from a McKinsey consultant, I love the fact that the vision has very clear KPIs, and some of them, a digital bank should play a role. Like, for example, we want 90% of Saudis to have access to a bank account, and we should play a role there. I think the vision calls for 70% of the payments being cashless by 2030. That one I think we're going to overdo big time. If there's one country in the world that can do it, that's definitely Saudi. But what I'm probably more excited about as a role that D360 can play in the kingdom is also being an enabler of the overall transformation of the ecosystem, right? Of the development of the innovation ecosystem, because there's a bit of a chicken and egg situation with when you want to set up an innovation ecosystem, because what comes first? So you get the demand or you get the offer. So in the case, for example, of infrastructure providers, being a bank totally cloud-based, we are creating demand together with other banks for cloud providers to come here and set up. And same for talent, right? We are not only fully cloud-based, it's infrastructure which is event-driven. There's not a lot of that in the world. Not only event-driven, it's also, I'm really like this for coding, not only event-driven, but it's also microservices, it's serverless. And talent comes when you have a place to work. I want to be there. And you know, I think about like 2 months ago, I went for the graduation ceremony of the Berkeley computer science class in California. And there were a bunch of Saudi kids getting the degree there, and a bunch of very smart kids. And I asked them, are you coming back to Saudi? And they said, yes, we're going back to Saudi. I said, where? And they said, Aramco. I said, wow, going back to Aramco, that inspired me. I said, I wish in a couple of years when I ask them, some of them will say, I go back to Saudi, I go to D360, because Aramco gave, it was like an enabler of innovation to happen. We want to do that. We want to be able to attract the best talent, internationally and locally, providing them the best technology to work on, and the latest there is.
This is great. One area of discussion, it's not only throughout these couple of days here in the conference, but also universally, is really the use of emerging technologies, AI, big data, etc., when it comes to smarter decision-making in the context of building a business, making more efficient, creating a better customer experience. How do you think of emerging technology as a core component of what you're building?
No, I think there is cloud computing. Cloud computing means that you can have, amongst other, you can have an amount of data stored that in the past was not physically possible, right? And then that you can compute all that data with a computing power that in the past was totally impossible. So that's the first ingredient of technology working for innovation. But when you look at technology and you look at banking, I think what's going to make a revolution, and D360 is going to be in the forefront of that, is the access to credit, right? To fulfill many of the objectives of the vision, including the welfare of people, the quality of life, access to credit is critical. Also because, for example, we expect to have a much larger component of the economy being SMEs. And SMEs are great employers, and those people will want to get a credit. So getting more people with access to credit within, as Sama would like, right, within an environment that is safe, that is secure, with an appetite, a risk appetite that is controlled, you have no other way than to use machine learning and artificial intelligence. And the way that works, basically, let me give you just some numbers of America. In America, for example, for the average American applying for a credit card, about 70% get approved, 30% get rejected. That means that 30% of Americans cannot get a credit card on application, but that's not fine, because it's not true that 30% of Americans would not pay you back. When you apply machine learning with the same risk appetite, you go from 70 to 90, 92%. That means you make credit access to a lot of people that otherwise wouldn't get. It's just because we go from an old-fashioned Bayesian rule-based technology, where we ask you for a credit card 10 questions, 16 questions, how old are you, married, single, your job, whatever, into proper machine learning, force brute, loads of data, 3,000 data points, and we can take a decision. So that for the financial industry is going to be transformational.
I love what you said, and you know, it reminds me a phrase from Tony Sandel, who was saying, let's turn AI into IA.
Yeah, exactly.
In other words, turning artificial intelligence into intelligent assistants, or even intelligent algorithms, right, to make better decisions. So I love the fact that you are applying, or you're going to be applying this in order to make better, more efficient, more open decisions.
And
right?
better decisions is basically, risk is uncertainty arbitrage. And when you lend, the only question you try to answer is, am I going to get paid or not?
Yeah.
So the moment you get better technology and you can run algorithms, you will make better decisions, absolutely.
I just want to pivot on a different topic, which is obviously, though, very relevant in the context of the ecosystem. And obviously, it's nothing else but competition. Because yes, on the one hand, you have challengers like yourselves among a couple of other players that are really running very fast to be able to really deliver on what they have promised. And on the other side, you have the incumbents, retail banks that are making such an amazing job at the same time in terms of digitizing their services, improving the customer experiences, etc. So in this context, how are you thinking about competition?
You really want me to talk about competition? No, I think in general, you know, the ethos we have, it's just we do the right thing, we focus on customers, and success will come, right? At the office, if you are at D360, you see people talking about how to improve our services, UX, how to do things better. We don't talk about competition. That being said, if we would be in Europe, for example, or in America, there are mature markets, there's no growth, it's a zero-sum game. So when you want to grow your market share, somebody needs to lose market share. So they are not focusing on competition, probably is a bit an expensive luxury. I think the kingdom is very different. First, as to your point, the banking ecosystem has woken up way before many other countries and have done a great job. And they have a good digital services. And then the digital ecosystem of fintechs, it's crazy. I mean, you just walk around today. We met the Endeavor team.
Yeah.
And the Endeavor team was telling us 3 years ago this would not be there. 3 years only, and this is already happening. So here the growth is such that you can say the more the merrier, meaning the more successful digital banks and digital fintechs in the market, the better for the credibility we'll have, the better we will work together. So I think in this case, for at least the next 10, 15 years, we should focus on ourselves and wish good to our competitors, because it's a big enough market for everybody to do well. And only one player will not solve it. So we need many.
I think it's a unique place where competitors can also be partners, and all of them alongside the various stakeholders, all of them enablers.
Absolutely.
Again, everyone working in the context of delivering Vision 2030 and the targets around Vision 2030, the financial sector development program, etc. So again, it's a very unique ecosystem, which is not really fighting with each other, but really one pushing each other to really get stronger.
You have no other country in the world where you have a central bank like SAMA that can pull this out. This is unique because it's real. You cannot fake it. This is amazing. The amount of fintechs, when you walk around, how real they are, how good they are. And as you said, the competition, the more we can serve other fintechs, even if they compete with us, we don't care. We have an open platform, we have a license, and a license is a responsibility as well as a bank, and we are ready for it and we like it.
Maybe one last question for you. Obviously, I think you are in a very privileged, in my view, position that many founders would really crave for, to be having funders and investors like the Raya, obviously PIF, amongst many other very strong and extremely tangible and well-known names in your cap table. So in this context, how you personally do think about valuation, right? Because valuation has been a topic of discussion many years ago, then it kind of became a little bit on hold given everything that was going on. Is this something that you care about?
If as a CEO of a startup, I reply, I don't care for valuation, I think I have to get fired tomorrow. Let's say that, of course, we do care for valuation, but let's say it's not a topic we talk at the office or with the board regularly. We do talk about, of course, so the difference between a fintech without a license, with a license, is that we're a bank. And a bank is heavily regulated, amongst other things, for stability. And good profits and a structurally profitable business model, which banking allows, provides you a stable environment. And a stable environment with good profitability and growth creates valuation. So I think valuation will come. The multipliers will be more according to the market. But I think the valuation issue is not a focus for us because the profitability issue is not a problem. Naturally, banking, it's a business of deposit gathering and lending. I'm just now paraphrasing our colleagues in the previous panel from STC. The bank makes sense for many reasons, and we're not reinventing anything. It's banking exists. We're simply transforming it and recreating it.
Understood. I want to thank you very much for taking the time. Please thank me. Please also help me thank Eze for this incredible and content-rich discussion. And best of luck on launching and getting live. Thank you very much.
Thank you.